Hello, Connecticut. We're going to have an epic week, so let's get off on the right foot. If you wouldn't mind, watch this video. It's vitally important, okay? So here it is. Let me play it.
Chad Bianco, Riverside County Sheriff. We are here today because California public safety is in crisis. Crime is steadily
Listen.
on the rise, and our public safety policy is one of the worst, if not the worst, in the nation. I want to make this clear, and I want there to be no mistake in what I am saying. This is not by accident. The driving force in our crisis is a radical, progressive agenda fraudulently called criminal justice reform. This is nothing short of a sick and twisted social experiment where law enforcement is the bad guy and criminals are somehow victims of society and not responsible for their actions, their crimes, or accountable to their countless victims. This agenda began with the passage of AB 109, the so-called Public Safety Realignment Act. State government failed to take responsibility for prison overcrowding or their failure to build more prisons, and instead forced county jails to house state inmates while simultaneously releasing thousands of felons.
So Bob Duff is our Senate Majority Leader in Connecticut. He put a prison on my street without telling anyone called Fire Tree. And Jimmy Lewis was found murdered in his car, who lives next door. Jimmy Lewis is a victim of the most heinous things you can think of.
Early. This has pushed our county jails to a near collapse and caused the early release of countless criminals. Thousands upon thousands of criminals are being released from custody early, crime is increasing, and our governor is closing prisons.
Connecticut closed 3 prisons, released 9,000 of the 18,000 inmates, and now is arresting basically conservative homeowners through targeted theft of property.
Instead of building new ones. It defies common sense. In 2014, a complete fraud was perpetrated in California. The so-called Safe Streets and Safe Schools Initiative, Prop 47, changed many felonies to misdemeanors, basically legalized drug use, and increased the amount of petty theft to nearly $1,000.
Connecticut legalized Oxy in pill form, which is heroin, okay? And then the drug cartels started bribing the judges. So there are cases that you should highlight. If I explain to you what happened with the Ahuja brothers, you will understand, okay, that there are victims of the policy, and the victims are numerous. So, for example, if the city of Stamford is going after Sam Magliari, is it because his niece was an overdose of Oxy victim? Does Judge Reed know that? No. She doesn't care because Sam's not allowed to speak. There are things here going on beyond the pale. So, let's just continue. Here we go. Listen to the whole thing. It's vitally important.
In 2016, another lie was perpetrated on voters with the naming and wording of Prop 57, tricking voters into approving the release of thousands of violent criminals onto our streets and neighborhoods. This is why we are here. Everyone knows Prop 47 and 57 are disasters, and yet Governor Newsom adamantly touts it as a success, and lawmakers continue to refuse to fix their mistake and the problems that they have created. When once crimes are no longer crimes, it allows Governor Newsom and Attorney General Bonta.
Rape is no longer a crime in Connecticut because we have serial rapists that Bob Duff let out, and he knows the victims of the rapists, and he denies them Section 8, mentally challenged victims of a serial rapists. These people are living on the streets, and as far as Connecticut is concerned, Connecticut claims that one of these ladies is receiving Section 8 when she is not, because no tenant is allowed to rent to her. Okay? That's what's going on here. Let's continue.
To cite completely flawed data points to support their failures. Californians are now suffering the consequences of a failed social agenda. We are now at our breaking point, and Californians have had enough. The lie of Prop 47 has been exposed, and the progressive love affair with criminals at the expense of victims has infuriated law-abiding Californians. While we suffer every day with rampant theft causing our small businesses to close and our large box stores to move out of state, our supermajority of lawmakers sit here in their guarded tower, oblivious to what is going on in their communities, experiencing drastic increases in all crimes, particularly violent crimes. Over the past 5 years, law enforcement has been unable to get our progressive left majority to even consider any new law or modification to an existing law that would increase punishment or send criminals to prison. Reality has gone completely upside down, to the point our governor, our lawmakers, and our attorney general refuse to prosecute criminals, to include those criminals committing crimes with guns, and instead have dedicated their efforts to disarm and remove constitutional protections of self-defense from law-abiding Californians. We are in a very important election year, and the political silliness is surfacing all around us. The same supermajority who refused any sort of tough-on-crime laws for the past several years are up for re-election. They are now claiming they are going to address our public safety crisis with new laws cracking down on crime. The problem is every one of their bills are disingenuous and hollow. For instance, one bill claims to address theft by lowering the felony limit back to $400. Upon examination of the bill, you will find that it gives these career criminals 3 more chances to steal and be convicted before they are sentenced to prison. That is a minimum of 3 more victims. We cannot turn on the news, read the newspaper, go to the grocery store, or open our businesses without being slapped in the face of reality that criminals have been emboldened by a lenient system that holds no consequence for criminal behavior. Instead of addressing the obvious, tone-deaf Governor Newsom attacks a Target employee for not stopping a criminal from fleeing the store instead of taking an honest look at the failed social experiment that he himself leads that allowed that theft to occur. It is time we wake up and hold our politicians accountable for what their bills, laws, and policies have caused. It is time to return to a common sense approach to crime, realizing and admitting that there are evil people who refuse to conform to a civilized society and instead choose to victimize the rest of us by stealing our property, robbing our stores, flooding our streets with drugs, including fentanyl, breaking into our homes, murdering our children, and giving the middle finger to our justice system. Californians deserve better. I am proud to support lawmakers like Bill Asaley and several others who acknowledge that criminals are responsible for their actions and they need to be held accountable. Thank you.
Fantastic. I'll tell you. That guy is allowed to say it in California, but I am not allowed to say very much. So I'm using other people's videos to get my points across in many respects. The problem here is, yes, the victims of the crimes should be our first priority, not being lenient on the confidential informants working for the state committing crimes. You heard what I said. Connecticut has a history of using confidential informants to murder people. Yes. They go after good cops. There are cases. I know about the cases. The problem here is the judges. The judges need to be rounded up and disbarred. Not only that, our elected officials need to be held accountable for all their treasons, and there are many. And there are many. If you look at the history of Jim Himes, he has committed treason multiple times. He is the creator of the Russia collusion hoax, according to James Comey. James Comey sold Hammer Scorecard to the Chinese. Look at Chris Murphy and his treasons. Look at Richard Blumenthal and his treasons. Look at all the treason in the state of Connecticut under Bob Duff, my senator, Congressman Himes, my congressman, Senator Blumenthal, my senator, Senator Murphy, my senator. Hold on a second. I've made apologies to the United States for our elected officials. There is nothing I can do, okay? Because there are no donors in Connecticut, A. Send me $10. I dare you. It'll be the best $10 you ever spent, folks, because up till now, it's all on me. Everything's on my dime. All the letters going out and all the letters coming back. You know? I can go through. These are all letters. I can show you them. I can tell you who they are. They're going to Shelton, Stamford, different places. Here's one for Jim Feehan. Who's that? Wouldn't you like to know? Thank you very much for watching the video. It's extremely important. This county sheriff in California has it easy because in Connecticut, we have no counties. What does that mean? We have no 25th Amendment. We have no sheriffs in Connecticut. So as bad as you think it is in California, he has sheriffs. We don't. That means no judge can be arrested. None. We have over 30 judges with capias writs, habeas corpus, and felony. Just in one court. 30 in one court. I thank you again. Have a great day. That video of that guy saying those comments, I thank you. This is exactly what our problem is. It's created by Bob Duff. He set up 2 prisons in Norwalk, one on Bartlett Avenue, and one 3 houses down. Honestly, who killed Jimmy Lewis? I know who killed Jimmy Lewis. Who planted drugs in his apartment? I know he sold pot, folks, but he wasn't what you think he is. He was actually a pretty decent guy, in my opinion. And if anyone's the victim here, I'll tell you, it's not who you think it is. And have a great day. Thanks a lot.